Welcome back to the Better Than a Pill podcast. Today, I am super excited to have Dr. Patricia Crisp on as a guest. And I know Dr. Crisp personally, she's actually my naturopath that I'm working with right now. And she is a classical naturopath and she specializes in healing. She believes your health reflects your unique life history, including your beliefs, habits, and emotional style. She also believes that the path to wellness is as personal as the circumstances that contributed to your life. So I just want to welcome you, Pat. Welcome.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Yay. I'm happy to have you. And today we're going to be getting to know Pat a little bit, and she's going to share a little bit about her story, the work she does, and then we're going to get into what she uses, her testing, her system, and her method. So I'm going to just have you start off a little bit, Pat, just telling us a little bit about why actually do you do the work that you do?
Okay. I was sexually abused from the age of 4 through 12, actively suicidal from 12 to 22, 22 to 26. I tried to get other people to take me out of here. I got straight A's from kindergarten through my doctorate. I got three C's. I'm bringing home straight A's. My mother's telling me that I can do better. I also was being sexually molested by my brother and my father and two men in the neighborhood. I thought I was broken beyond repair.
Mm.
So when I couldn't take one day, I actually walked a mile out of town and laid down on the railroad tracks because there was a train that came through every night at 11:30. A guy came through and said, "What are you doing on the train?" It made me get up. So it was like all the different things I tried, nothing worked. I took a bottle of my father's pills, medication, and I was unconscious. And a friend of mine called me on the phone, and I answered the phone, and I must have been groggy, and she called the ambulance. And it's just all kinds of things. So I divorced my husband. I shut down for 3 years and I went on a journey of healing me because I told the creator, obviously, you want me here for a reason. You're going to have to tell me what it is. I had a degree in elementary ed. I opened up a daycare preschool that was open 24/7, 365 days a year for 20 years. The last 10 years, it was a holistic center. I went back to school. I got a degree in Soc and a degree in psych. And I'm like, this isn't helping. I want to heal mind, body, spirit. And I got certified as an HHP, a holistic health practitioner, which entailed certification in 9 different healing modalities, including traditional Chinese medicine. I got certified as a CNHP, a certified natural health practitioner, which gives me board certification. I don't have a medical degree, but I am board certified. So I can, as a natural practitioner, so I can buy from Germany and Canada and stuff. And I actually, I'm an ordained minister in mind body healing. And then I got my master's in holistic psych and my doctorate in naturopathy. I did all of this just to heal me. I didn't even know what naturopath was. I grew up, my mother worked in the hospital. I grew up with doctors and medical, although I'll be 70 in a couple of months. So when I was growing up, they did combine the two back then. But so when I got to a level of healing, all I could do was laugh because I said, oh, okay. I never wanted to teach. My parents forced me to get a degree in elementary ed. And when I opened up the school, I said, oh, this is why I opened it up. There was no one to protect me. I had to protect all children. And my daughter used to tell my staff, you can do whatever you want, but please don't let my mother think you are harming a child because even God would not be able to protect you.
Aw.
And then when I finished with all the degrees and everything, I told my staff, here, you teach, I'm going to work with the children holistically. Every child that came to my center that was on meds, their doctors took them off after 3 to 4 months. I wasn't charging for the healing. I made enough in the center. Parents started coming in, bringing their friends and family. The FDA inspectors started coming in, bringing their friends and family. And the creator told me to go into private practice. I said, no, I'm making too much money. 5 years went by. July 11th, 2007. And I woke up and I said, I have this much faith, but I can't fight you anymore. You're going to have to show me that this is what I'm supposed to do. And July 13th, I told all my staff, my parents, and the state I was closing. And by July 28th, I have all my children were placed in other schools. My staff got other jobs. One retired, and I sold everything in my business. I said, oh, you weren't joking, were you? And that's what put me into this field. And then a couple of months later, my sister from Alabama sent me a newspaper article from a newspaper reporter in Montgomery, Alabama, that had gone to a medical doctor that had given him this scan. And he was just amazed at what it did. So do you want me to go into that now?
Yeah, I would love to, because you
Okay.
have, just for those of you listening, just to understand that Dr. Crisp uses a very special system for testing and working with people. And I would love for you to kind of tell us what it is and break it down in a way that people can understand, what it's called and all those things. I think that would be awesome. Yeah.
I purchased this. Well, when she sent me the article, I did research into it. The gentleman that created it was Peter Fraser, was from Australia, and the main office was in England. I was living in New Jersey then. The office in this country was in Clemens, North Carolina. So I actually came to Clemens to do the training. And as long as the owner, the gentleman that created this, was alive, and I guess he transitioned about 7, 8 years ago, up until then, he would only sell it. You had to be an ND or an MD. And in order to purchase it, and training sessions, 8 people maximum. So when I went in, after I did all my research, I said, all right, let me go in and do the training. That was me, 6 medical doctors, and a nurse. And the instructor told the nurse, she said, you can take the course, but you can't buy the system. She said, no, I work for a doctor that has it and I need to learn the system. And I was just amazed at what I can see with the scan. And it is called the Nest Provision Scan. Now, I kept mine. When Peter Fraser died, the gentleman that took over the company, he was the one that put everything to technology. He's kind of changed it and stuff. I've stayed with the original one. And with this, it picks up from the day you were conceived to things that are developing in your body. The medical researchers have proven that the medical researchers and scientists have proven when the egg is fertilized that becomes a person, they can have 7 generations of stuff from both sides of the family. On the scan, the ET1 will tell me if there is interference in the person's immune system due to genetics. ET2 will tell me if a person came in with heavy metals from family that's negatively impacting the immune system. ET3 will tell me if there's unresolved emotional trauma they came in with from family. ET4 will tell me if there's their nervous system, if there's problems with that. And that is genetic. And the BFA, one of the infoceuticals that the company sells, removes genetic imprinting. But the scan is also color coded. It has 5 colors, and the colors tell me the orange and purple are the priority. Doesn't mean a person's dying or anything, but the body has a specific order that it heals in. When a person is born, as they go through life, they put on layers. When the body heals, it goes back down through the layers. And it prioritizes whatever, like if I run a scan today, it's going to be whatever is the biggest threat to the body not living 120 years healthy, because the medical researchers and scientists have also proved the human body is designed to live healthy 120 years. It is not designed to break down as we age. Lifestyle does that. And the body heals from the head down and the inside out. So the purples and the oranges tell me what the body is ready to work on. And it also will tell me what is the root. I had a woman come in, her right shoulder, right hip were a lot of pain. She had x-rays. They couldn't find anything. In her scan, her ileocecal valve came up orange, which is a priority. That's the valve between the large and small intestines. If that were to break down, a person would have celiac or Crohn's disease. But the symptoms are right shoulder pain, right hip pain. That's why x-raying the shoulder and the hip didn't produce anything. So the oranges and purples will tell me what the body is ready to work on and or what is the root. And then on the first screen is polarity. Polarity is the healing field. I always look at polarity first, because if the polarity is off, then the body is not in a position to heal or take in nutrients properly. And then day and night, the body's on a 24-hour clock, 12-hour day, 12-hour night. There are things the body is supposed to do during the day and at night. At night is when the body rests and repairs itself. So it will tell me to what degree, if any, the person is off. And then BFA is the earth. And since we live on the earth, it's nice to be in sync with the energetic spheres of the earth. And when we aren't, there are certain things that generate unhealthy wise in the body. And then the drivers, there's 15 categories at the organ level. The integrators, 15 categories at the tissue level. I can pull up every single organ in the body, and all the parts are colored, so I can see to what degree, if any, they are out of balance. And then the terrains, 15 categories, those are microbes. And then the stars are 15 categories at the cellular level. These are deep levels, deep issues in the body. I can see if a person has heavy metals throughout their body at the cellular level, in their nervous system at the cellular level, in their muscles and organs, autoimmune, if they have seen or heard things that have caused post-traumatic stress that are still affecting their body. If you have radiation, especially in this day and age, if you have radiation throughout your body at the cellular level, or if radiation has shut your immune system down. Since December of 2021, 80 to 90% of the people I'm scanning across this country, their immune system has been shut down by radiation, and this is due to 5G. Mm-hmm. And then it goes into nutrition. I can see if a person is lactose or gluten intolerant. And a lot of people take vitamins or minerals. They have no idea if they are absorbing and metabolizing them. I can see what vitamins and minerals people are metabolizing and absorbing. And if they aren't, I can see what I will test to see what they need to get that to happen. Now, I just want to interject here, just because something is natural doesn't make it safe. And nothing works the same for everyone. So I test every item to make sure that it is in sync with the person. Even with me, I test the clothing that I buy. I test the products that I take. Everything and anything that you put on or in your body is either going to increase your life force or decrease it. Nothing is neutral. And then also on this screen, it will tell me there are 3 categories that will show me if a person is absorbing the nutrients from their foods. And if they aren't, then there are things that I can do. I'll test to see to get that happening. Then it goes into environmentals. There are 8 categories of radiation that can affect the body. And radiation is a huge thing now. There's a group of scientists in December of 2022. They have linked 5G. They did 18 studies, and they have shown that it is causing Alzheimer's and dementia, and starting at a much younger age. It's also, they've linked it to affecting the weather. And I said, that was good, because global warming is one thing. The weather now is different. Nature is confused. The animals are confused. The food is not growing properly. And the FDA is allowing companies to make artificial food and not label it. So be very careful about the foods that you're eating. And and with radiation, there is a company on my online store, patcrisp.biz, EarthCom. I buy and sell their products because they upgrade all of their equipment every 2 years. They keep up with all of the radiation. Everything that they have will block 5G. There's little to nothing out here that can touch 5G. Then there's 9 different categories of environmentals that can be negatively impacting the body, and it will tell me to what degree, if any. Then it goes into musculoskeletal. Then there's a screen. If the body can flow and it can communicate, it can heal itself. It will show energy blockages in the body. I can see the 7 chakras, which ones are open, which ones are not. There is a screen. There may be some things that are blocking you from manifesting what you want right now in your life. There is a screen that has 20 different negative core beliefs and 20 different negative core emotions that your subconscious can be operating off of. And your subconscious is 90 to 95% of all human behavior. Then it goes into the 4 parts of the brain, and they will show shock trauma. So it will give a shock trauma, a description of a shock trauma that you've gone through that has not been healed and where it's affecting your body. Now, I've had parents and I've scanned a young child. You can see the shock trauma in the mother, in the child, father, in the child. So you can see some things that were passed down with doing the scans. So this picks up everything and anything. And it picks up from the day you were conceived to things that are developing in the body. And healing is mental, physical, spiritual, and energetic. All disease has an emotional root. Every organ in the body has an emotional root. Nothing can manifest on this physical plane without it coming from a thought. So if the body can flow and it can communicate, it can heal itself. The scan will tell me where the blockages are with that. But then I also work on healing the emotional root that created the disease in the first place.
So comprehensive. You're just a wealth of knowledge. Just listening to everything you have to share is just incredible. And it's just amazes me. I know the first time that you did this test with me, I was like, I can't believe that something can be so comprehensive. Like, I mean, what you just shared, I mean, how does this work? Here's my question to you. Explain, how does this work?
Not exactly. There's 144,000 electrical pathways in the body. That is the human body field. And when I run the scan, it scans all of that. And then the other piece to this is when I was a young child, I always knew that the creator guided me. I just thought everyone else was like me. It wasn't until I became an adult and people are like, how do you know that? And I'm like, no, what? And why don't you know? So I've learned that a lot of this stuff the creator just gives me. And when I went and did the training, I was just amazed at what I could see when I look at the scan and the connections and stuff. And I'm like, okay. So then I told the creator, okay, I understand now why I didn't even understand how much I understood the human body and stuff. So I was thanking the creator for pushing me into this field.
Yeah. So this is definitely, it sounds like for you, the only thing you need. This information,
Yep.
can you say what it's called one more time for
It's
everybody?
called the Nest Provision Scan.
Okay.
And I've actually had a lot of people that have come to me that have said their doctors have said something's wrong, but they couldn't figure out what it is. I haven't had anyone come to me yet that I couldn't figure out what it is.
Wow. Amazing. And this Nest Provision scan runs off, because I know when I do the test with you, I put my hand
On an apparatus like an oversized mouse. And
okay.
That's it. In 10 seconds, it scans all of that. Now, if someone does, I can do virtual. I have another apparatus. They can go on Skype and then I can run the apparatus down in front of them on Skype and it'll tell me when it picks up the human body field and I run the scan. Or they can sit on their cell phone and hold the cell phone in their hand and I can run the scan down the cell phone and it will pick up the human body field. I didn't know I could use the phone. So I had a woman in Maryland and she said, well, I'm too sick to come in. And she said, well, can you do it through the phone? I said, I can do it through Skype. But she was an older woman and she couldn't figure out how to download Skype. She said, can you do it through the phone? So I said, all right, I'm going to do it through the phone. And if it doesn't pick up, then I just won't charge her. But oh, shoot, it even told me, it picked up everything. It told me what she had that caused her from not being able to come in.
Yeah.
And then I called my sales rep and she said, oh, yeah, she said there was a woman in the office there, in the office in Clemens that had been using doing from the phone since they opened.
So
So yeah.
that's amazing. So tell me, how does that work? Like, so when just like I guess two things. Tell us how it works, like if you're in person on the device, like how that works, and then how does that work being like anywhere in the world through this like
What
virtual
it's doing
modality? Yeah,
with, and I don't know all of the chemical because it's all patented and whatever, but when you come in the office, there's an oversized mouse and it has two little areas about this long and about this wide that you put your hand or your finger on, and it will scan the human body field. And then I have another product by them, the My Health, and I use that on Skype, and it runs down, and I can actually do that for your scans too. I can put it on your wrist and run scans with it, but that's what I do virtual with. And
wow.
yeah.
And so somebody wanted to do this work and do it with you, they have the ability to do this in person, but also virtually, and it doesn't have to be Skype, it could be Zoom or like
No,
another.
no, it
No.
can only be Skype or through the cell
Oh,
phone.
okay, that's good to know.
Yes.
So
And I have clients, and I've been doing virtual for 10 years. I have clients in Africa, Europe, Canada, the islands, and all across this country. And then when the pandemic hit, I had some people that, they were like an hour, hour and a half away. And with the pandemic, they said, well, I'm going to try virtual. And they said, oh, this is the same as being in your office. So they don't even have to drive. They just do the virtual, the virtual now. And they don't have to drive because they saw that the results were the same.
interesting. So basically the scan will work the same whether you're in person or on Skype or a cell phone.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Wow, interesting. And so in your experience, how long have you been using this modality?
I've been using it since 2007.
Okay. Wow. So quite
Yeah.
some time.
Yes.
And you've obviously seen it affect many people's lives for the better.
Yes. And I just had a woman call me 2 weeks ago. She said, I just wanted to let you know she had been getting blood infusions. And she told me, she said, my doctor said, I don't have to have any more blood. He doesn't have to give me any more blood infusions. And he wanted to know what I was doing. And I told him I was seeing you, that he wanted to know what you were giving me. So I let her know what I was giving her to do that. But last year, I had 4 people that were on dialysis, and they were all outside of the state, and they worked with me, and all their doctors took them off of dialysis.
Wow, Pat, that's incredible.
So yeah, so now I had uterine cancer. I had been in total menopause for 3 years, no cycle, no nothing. And then all of a sudden I started losing my mind with the with the hormones, with the menopause. And I was living in New Jersey then. And so one of my clients said, oh, there's a doctor in Delaware that has the bioidentical hormones. So I went there, I started taking them, I started spotting. So I went back to her, she gave me some more meds. I started bleeding. I went to my gynecologist and he said, she should have told you that one of the side effects, a caution with the bioidentical hormones, is that they can cause uterine cancer. Because if she had told me that, I never would have taken them. And if I wasn't so crazy with my hormones being off, I would have thought, tested and stuff, and I didn't. But what I did was I said, make yourself your own client. I got rid of all the menopause, the hormones, and all that. And then I tested to see, can I heal myself? And it said yes. That was one of the reasons I moved to North Carolina, because I realized everyone I knew had me running their lives for them and this and the other, which was cool. But I needed to mentally, physically, spiritually, and energetically be in top form to fight cancer. So I moved to North Carolina. I had no friends, no family. I went back to New Jersey and Maryland 10 days a month to work with all my clients there. And it took me 2 years. I bled with blood clots every single day for 2 years. After that, I was totally cancer free. And I
Wow.
went back to New Jersey and I ran a scan every 4 weeks. And then every manufacturer, wholesaler that I sell their products, every month I tested every product that they sold to see whatever my body said yes to, that's what I took. I let my body tell me exactly. I cleaned up my diet totally, all of that. It was 2008 when I was diagnosed. I went back in 2010. He declared me cancer free, and I have been cancer free ever since. But I waited 2 years after being cancer free to even tell anyone that I had it. My daughter freaked out. My best friend freaked out. I said, but this is why I didn't tell you, because I needed to be in top form. I couldn't be carrying you all and dealing with the cancer. So I waited, and yes.
Wow. That's an incredible story and such courage because you just left your whole world because you
Yep.
knew you were called to do that and relocated somewhere where you didn't know anybody.
Right. Yep.
And you're following the creator, you're following God, and that's amazing. And also you are sharing the value of your method here because you have used your device and this system to help heal your body, is what you're
That's right.
saying. Yeah.
And when I got into the natural field, it was amazing. When I was a child, I had allergies. The doctor said he'd never seen anyone allergic to everything. I took 16 pills a day for allergies. I had asthma. I took medicine for that. I had spastic colitis. My colon would close. I had an extra loop that pressed on my lungs, on my right lung. I had an extra loop that closed my left fallopian tube. When I got into this field, I got rid of all of that. People that I grew up with are like, you're not taking any meds. You don't take any pills. No, I got rid of all of that.
Yeah. That's power. Amazing. And you test a lot. And when you test, you use a form of testing that involves, because I know there's different ways
I
and
do dowsing. Now, I am certified in kinesiology. So someone can put a product in their hand and I can push the other arm to see. But when I realized God gave us free will and will not override our free will. So if someone strongly believes that they need a product, they can affect the kinesiology. Or if they strongly believe they don't need it, they can affect it. So then I started using kinesiology on myself, using myself as a conduit. So after a couple of weeks, I was like, oh, well, if I'm using myself, then I can't have any opinion one way or the other about products. So it made me a much better practitioner. I don't have any sense of, oh, you need to take this, you need to. No, I test. I let the body take me. Then I learned dowsing. And actually, the reason I learned dowsing is because I had my astrological chart done and I said, oh, this is very, very accurate, but I didn't like everything. And I said, I know there's a remedy for it. And I ran into a girl and she said, have you heard of dowsing? And I actually learned dowsing. Dowsing is tapping into the creator. So when I'm dowsing, which is what I use now, I will douse and I'll ask the God in the person what they need. And
mm,
I do it with me, but I'm so tuned into my spirit. I go to stores, I put my hand up to something. If it's for me, it'll pull me forward. If it's not, it'll push me backward. You can
oh,
tune into all that guidance, all that is within us.
it's
It's
powerful.
tuning into it and trusting it.
Yeah. Wow.
Trust and believe.
Incredible. Very interesting. Very interesting. I mean, yeah, that's very powerful right there, what you just shared. And also I'd like to just say the other thing that is not talked about a lot, which I learned from you and you shared today, is the 5G issue and how it's affecting our bodies and how we can protect ourselves from that and how radiation, I know you've made me aware of that myself, right? I am
Mhm.
now protected. I have one of the devices that you've recommended to wear off some of the signals that can be doing our body damage. And a lot of people listening today may never have heard that. They may be like me. There's not that information that's out there in the world. If you go to if I talk to my cable company yesterday or if I go to a cell phone store, nobody knows anything
No,
about the harms.
no,
Nobody knows anything
no.
about that. Yeah.
The medical doctors in this country between 2013 and 2015 diagnosed 5 million additional patients with thyroid imbalances. There is no such thing as a thyroid epidemic. When they did the research, they found all this radiation we're exposed to goes to the thyroid and the brain first. Both control how people think and their emotions. Everyone can see the level of insanity is increasing. Then in 2018, they started looking at the liver and the kidneys and how they're being affected by radiation. In 2017, they tried to measure the effects of 5G on the body. They couldn't measure it even in low doses. It was too high to measure. Airports sued Verizon and AT&T because their 5G towers are interfering with their equipment functioning properly and airplanes functioning properly. And now there are some countries in Europe and Asia that have banned the iPhone 15 from being sold in their countries.
Mm.
And
Wow.
some are trying to ban people from coming and bringing it in, even if they're coming to visit. They're trying to ban that.
Yeah. So for everybody listening today, this is really something not talked about. That's important. That's important
Right.
to get, to know and be aware of. And there's a lot of research and studies being done. But for me, the way I think about it is I'd rather be safe than sorry
Mhm.
and believe. And it's not by accident, right? It's like,
Right.
yeah, you know, mm-mm.
And the earbuds, I always suggest to people not to wear earbuds because that's radiation going directly into the brain. And when you're sleeping at night, if you're charging your phone, put it in another room because at night is when the body rests and repairs itself, and that radiation can affect that. If it's not charging, put it at least 3 feet away from you when you're sleeping at night. But yeah, there's and even in the cars now, and the company Earthcom, they have products you can put in the car. Everywhere you go now, churches, everywhere has radiation. And many people don't think about Wi-Fi. Wi-Fi is radiation from floor to ceiling in your entire house.
Crazy. Yeah. Yeah. The big missing link here that we're using every day. A lot of us, 90% of the population is inundated with this,
Mhm.
not even talked about or addressed. Yeah.
And when the pandemic hit and they had they did virtual classes, I suggested with my clients that were parents that they ask the principal how they were going to make up for the loss of education because children can't learn the same. And many people, well, now one of my clients told me it was on the news last year, but I was telling people back in at the end of the school year, 85% of the students in the state of North Carolina failed the end of the year testing. And what they did was they threw the test scores out, but that put the children behind. They had teachers change the curriculum and stuff like that. So, but it put the children behind. And I have posted on Facebook a couple of articles from medical scientists and researchers where they're saying that 14 is the earliest that someone should be like on cell phones and computers and stuff, 1 hour maximum daily.
Wow. That's
And that's,
powerful.
yes, and that's certainly not the lifestyle we have here. So there are products to protect and whatever, but yeah.
Yeah.
And Steve Jobs, his children never had an iPhone nor an iPad. Now, someone told me that's on. I've been telling people that for years. Now they're saying you can Google that and see that on online now as well.
Yeah. No, but thank you so much for sharing this. Well, thank you for sharing everything today. This has been extremely educational, and I know a lot of people listening today can value from what you've shared. I want to say that if anybody listening today is interested in learning more about Pat's work, I've included the link to her website in this episode, and it's www.patcrisp.com. And on that website, Pat, is there a link to that people can get information about the things that can block the 5G that we were talking about?
No, but
Okay.
if they go to my online store from there, it is.
Okay. Click the online store on that website. Excellent.
Yes.
Okay. Very cool. And is that the best place for people to go to that website then?
Yes. Well, or
Okay.
they can go straight to patcrisp.biz.
Okay.
That is
Excellent.
my online store.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yay. Well, thank you so much. It's been
You're
wonderful.
welcome.
All right, everybody. Remember that we do new episodes every other week on Wednesday, and I look forward to having you join me then.